welcome back to my channel. I'm the Sally, you're the Jelly, and together we form Silly with the Jelly. Today I'm just going to post something random. I bought like a ceremonial matcha from Amazon and it came by today, so I'm going to make it. I actually expected a more vibrant green, but I guess this one works too. Anyway, I boiled some water and it is supposed to like kind of cool down because you don't want to use boiled water. I think this is 2 grams. I'm not sure. I don't have like a food scale, so I'm not sure. I go with this. I think this is 2 grams. If it isn't, just correct me in the comment section because your girl is only a human. I also don't have the matcha whisk, so I'm going to whisk it up with this. And let's see how that turns out. Okay, I'm going to add the water to the matcha. I think this much would be enough of water. To be fair, my matcha never looked this vibrant green. So let's whisk it up. Oh my god, it actually looks pretty good. So this is apparently how my matcha is gonna look almost every day. So this is what we're working with. I like how green it looks. And I think I'm going to add only the half of it to this cup. So let's do that. And let's not spill any of it. Right. Mix up the other half with coconut milk, because I kind of want it to be like coconut cloudy. So let's add the coconut milk. This is what I'm working with. I think that will be enough. And let's whisk that up. Okay, she's also done. So let's add this to the mixture. I hope this becomes some latte art. Or not. Last step, I'm going to clean this and then whisk up the creamer. I'm going for this creamer and I'm going to add some honey to it because I want healthy sweeteners. So this is the honey I'm using. Okay, let's add the creamer. So let's whisk that up. Creamer is ready. So let's add that to the mixture and finalize this. Ta-da! This is the end result. Okay, my final honest opinion about this matcha is it's pretty good. I really like it. She's really good, and the coconut goes very well with it, but I kind of miss condensed milk, but it's fine, it's okay. But this matcha, this is the first time I bought quality matcha, by the way. Normally I always use like these cheap ones from the grocery store. This is crazy. Let's have a moment of appreciation for my cutie pie tiger. Look at him. Oh my days. Look how cute he is. He is such a fluff ball. In a bit, I'm going for a walk and I'm going to take you guys to this walk because I actually want to talk about some nice things or even everything you needed to hear. So please look forward to it while I am finishing my matcha out here. See you guys. Since I enjoyed my matcha, now we are here. I'm seeing the sunsets. Let's turn the camera around. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. So the topics that I will be mentioning right now are going to be confidence, trauma, and healing. Because all these 3 topics together are forming a nice thing where you can learn a lot from. So when I went to the 1st grade of high school, I always thought that I was not special. I always looked up to all the people in my class or outside my class, and I was like, wow, they are so pretty, they're so beautiful, they have their life together, they can do everything they want and all of that. So I pretty much thought so big of them that I thought so little of myself. But throughout the years, especially at my big age of 23, I started to realize things, and I was like, what do I think I am lacking that they do have? What do I not have that they have? And then I came to the conclusion that there is actually nothing that I lack. So what I started to do at that moment is starting to focus on myself. What do I not like about myself? How do I actually make sure that I can feel more confident and more comfortable in my skin? And that's where I start to work. I do believe that change cannot happen if you stay in the same spot where you always have been. It's real, just like that. Change asks for change. If you want something to change, you must change something. And then you will start to see differences. So what I started to do was, especially as a person that has social anxiety, I started to pick myself out from my comfort zone, and I made sure that I feel uncomfortable. And with that being said, I started to face my fears. And by facing my fears, I started to think not so awful of everything that I could do. For example, filming in public. Right now there are some people walking around, but I don't feel ashamed to film like this, because in the end of the day, these people will not remember me. So that's how I build up my confidence, and I do believe that you should too. Take risks in life and don't be afraid to be yourself, because it's just not necessary. Put that pride aside and be you, period. And we come to the next topic. The next topic was about trauma. We all know what trauma is, and if you don't know, I will tell you. So trauma is a certain situation that you have experienced that left you so damaged, which will make you not function well in life, which will block you from doing a lot of other things and give you a perspective where you can't actually focus like how you used to focus. In my experience, trauma was something very difficult to go through. And I believe throughout this process, we usually need ourselves to be very motivated and believe in a second chance in life. I wouldn't say give people a second chance, because me personally, I do not believe in second chances. If a person did me wrong once, they will do me wrong twice, thrice, whatever. But don't just lose your trust in humanity. Just because one person is that way doesn't mean that he or she or they define all the humanity. When one person does you very wrong, that does not say anything about you. That says a lot about that person, and it speaks volumes about their perspective of life. They do not define you, they only define their ill self. And I think you need to stand by that. And the second thing is, you should recognize things that you were lacking throughout this experience, or if you had a mistake there, you should be able to point out that mistake for yourself, but that doesn't mean that you need to blame yourself for the rest of your life. Some things just happen for you to become the person that you always wished. When we go through trauma, we usually are like, oh no, why did this happen to me? How could this happen to me? Why did I make these mistakes? Why didn't I make these choices? But life is not about making a right choice only. Sometimes you need to make wrong choices, mistakes, whatever you call it, sins, so you can actually build up who you are now, like in the present. Maybe you should question yourself and ask yourself, would I be this strong? Would I be the person I am right now if it wasn't for what I have gone through? And I believe it's unfortunate what you've been through. And I'd like to tell you that you're very strong for enduring whatever it is that you're not talking about, or which you're vocal about or feel unheard. But just do believe life has better things coming for you. And I promise you, the person that did anything wrong to you will get their karma very soon. And when it gets to them, it will be very heavy for them. When something happens to you, That doesn't mean that you're weak, that you didn't make right choices. Perhaps you did make wrong choices, but it is not about pointing them out. It is about, okay, I did this, and now I'm going to change it. What am I going to do for change? But when people are guilt-tripping you, or when a certain person is guilt-tripping you, you should not take that personal, to be honest. If you know where you stood, if you know who you are, and if you know still that what you did was the most perfect thing to do at that moment, then believe it. Stay true to your truth. And I really mean it. For now, I'm just going very shortly over what trauma is. I might make a longer video about my perspective of trauma, what trauma is, and all of that. Comment down below if you're looking forward for that. This brings us to the part of healing. What is healing actually? What do you believe healing is? In my perspective, healing is going through a phase where you are trying to give a place to the traumas that you have been through. You are trying to move forward from what you have been through. However, I think a lot of people have the misconception of healing. Healing doesn't mean that you totally forget about what you've been through. It doesn't mean that all your memories are being erased suddenly and you're just totally fine and continue your life. Healing is basically a phase where you are giving your trauma a place in your mind, in your heart. You're trying to accept what has happened to you, and you have a better understanding of why it happened to you, what you now have changed and you want to repeat again. And also, you can sometimes fall back, but that doesn't mean that you're back in your trauma. It means basically that maybe something has triggered you in your life where you don't feel good anymore about it, and it's totally fine to take a step back and try to do something that will bring you happiness, that will bring you that motion again. But a lot of people think that healing is just straightforward, like going through everything that you have been through, giving it a place, and never thinking back about it. However, I'd like to break this to you. Unfortunately, most of the traumas, depending on the level of the trauma, it's just something that you will never forget. However, when you heal, you will not feel the emotions that you felt in the beginning. You have given it a room in your life, and it is not as important as it used to be for you anymore. So trauma does not define your future. Healing is a process where you understand that your trauma does not define who you are. Your trauma defines who you became from it. Sometimes, as I said before, we tend to believe that it is so bad, that you can't believe what happened to you, why you, why this, why that. And if you believe in God, which I do not believe in coincidences. I believe that everything happens in the right moment, the way it had to happen. When you ask again for patience, when you ask for strength, when you ask for this, when you ask for that, you cannot expect that to just come towards you. This is a world where a lot of injustice is going on. So to be strong, you have to go through something. And to go through something means that you handled it a certain way, very assertively, very efficiently. Even if you had fallback moments, it's totally fine. But you became a version that did not existed before that. Can you imagine that, how strong you have been? And I know a lot of survivors will say, why do I have to be strong? But this is your life. You have to be strong, not for anybody else. You need to be strong for yourself. If you believe in the capacities that you have, and you do have it, don't even deny it behind the screen, then you will understand that nobody else in your life deserves to live that life of yours the way that you deserve to live it. And I think that's a very strong thing to think or feel or say. Me personally, today I'm standing proud, I'm standing confident, I'm standing glad of where I am. Because I did not simply let my trauma define me. And I promise you, in my life, there may be people that think just because they did me wrong, that they have the full control of my life and that I will be always stuck with what they did and everything. But no, you are not that important to me. You are, in fact, nobody to me. And mind you, nobody is irreplaceable. If you do me wrong, do not expect me to stay there and accept the way that you do me wrong. If you disrespect me, I will not take disrespect, because this is my life. I choose what I want to expect. I pick and choose the portions of what I tolerate and what I do not tolerate. If I find something disrespectful, I do not need to define you why I found that disrespectful, unless you are willing to change that. However, I do not owe nobody an explanation, and neither do you. With that being said, thank you for listening to my sort of sit down talking motivational vlog. See you in my next video. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and see you in the next one.